Give me a thumbs up when you see a picture.
Do I have a big delay again?
Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here with the C47, and welcome to another episode of the live stream. Today is Thursday, March 1st, 2018, and this episode is sponsored by our friends over at Boink Software and their software solution Mimo Live, which allows us to do this live stream the way we do. It is also sponsored by our good friends down under at RØDE Microphones, and we are coming to you live today from MCM TV in McMinnville, Oregon, and that's where we do this thing in their studio. So we are going to be talking about a lot of stuff. I am Jem Schofield, and I am from the C47. theC47.com and youtube.com/theC47. And if you like what you see in this episode, please subscribe, because if you are watching, then I am here to create free educational content, answer your questions, and do all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we've got some people here, and as always with the live stream, this is an open forum, so I have my chat open. If you have questions as we go along, please do ask those questions. We keep tweaking the settings for this live stream, so please tell me if the audio is clear, if the picture is clear, and if both of those things are as they should be, then maybe we'll keep these settings for next week. So please, I see there's a few people watching already, so please let me know whether or not that is the case. So, I don't have any order of business today. It's just going to be talking about lighting and portable lighting solutions and things like that. I really want to focus on stuff that I've been using over the past couple of years for lighting fixtures, and primarily, or maybe exclusively, on lighting solutions that are good for small crew production, for portability, and also when you are traveling. So there's a lot to talk about. Nicholas, thanks for the feedback on the video and audio being good. So I'm happy to hear that. So we have so much to talk about in terms of different types of lighting solutions that I think what I'm going to do is just start at the bottom of my list here. And it is not a list that I designed to be in order in any way. Quite honestly, you know, you start putting this stuff together for a live stream and you just try to get it done in time. So I'm just going to kind of go through stuff and we'll see if it's all working out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zonk the main camera feed here and make sure that you guys can still hear audio. So just let me know if you can still hear audio. And here we are with the first fixture that I want to talk to you about. And just as a note, we will be putting links in the archived version of the live stream. None of this nonsense from last week where we were trying to paste URLs, and YouTube's live stream feature didn't like that from whatever reason. So they're just going to be in the archive version. So you can come back, I would say later today or probably tomorrow, and you will see under the fold of the episode links to these particular products and also other things that we discuss if you're asking questions as we go along. So this first product here is a product I've been using for a while. It's from a company called Luxli. It is called the Luxli Viola. and it is an interesting 5-inch LED solution. It is very small. Well, it's pretty small, and it is actually, let me just show you if it all works out here. Let's see how this all works out. Here we go. Let's go to this camera feed. This is the Luxli Viola. So you can see how small it is. It's small. So it's a cool little fixture, and basically it is a what we call an RGB-A fixture. Sorry, RGB-W. So it's got red, green, blue, and white LEDs, and from that it creates its white light, and it is also capable of creating colors based on the 360-degree hue wheel. So not completely unlike something like the Sky Panel lights from ARRI, but very different in the sense that what you can do is you can dial in a particular hue or color temperature, and you can also change the intensity, but you do not have any basically control over the saturation of that light. And the normal quote-unquote white light operation, this light goes from 3,000 Kelvin all the way up to 10,000. Obviously, at a certain point, those RGB LEDs are coming into play when you're getting into color temperatures like that. And it's a really little interesting fixture. As you can see here on the back of the fixture, that's sort of the user interface. It uses Sony LPF style batteries, and it's a light that goes with me basically everywhere. They do have a little modifier that you can put onto it, and currently this light with the modifier is about $230 US. Only available through B&H, but I will put a link to that. And the way I'm using this light in most situations is battery powered, though you could get an AC adapter for it if you wanted to. And I am using it to create washes of light. So if you have a background that's, let's say, middle gray, and you want to change the color of that, then you can do that very easily with this little light. So this is definitely something that goes with me everywhere. Second light I want to talk to you about, and again, I just want to open forum this. You guys can ask questions anytime about the lights that we're talking about, lights that you're interested in or that you're thinking about, and that's kind of the whole purpose of the live stream anyway. But I'm just going to start to introduce you to some different lights, or talk about lights that I've been using, and talk about some of the things that I like about those lights, and sort of where I see their application. So again, not in any particular order, but now we get into the next light. This is from a company called Light and Motion, and this light is called the Stella Light. This particular one is the Stella Pro 5000. What's interesting about this is you buy different heads for this light, which are the actual color temperature of the light that you're using. This particular head here is 5600 Kelvin, but what makes these lights very, very unique is that they are completely waterproof. So, and that's the first unique part about them. So they're completely waterproof light fixtures, I believe all the way down to 100 meters. And they also have a built-in battery source. So they have a fast charge, so they charge in about 2 hours. And at full 5,000 lumen output, this particular light with a 120-degree spread will run at full power for about an hour and a half. So really, really interesting. It comes with the mains adapter, so you can plug it in and just run it off of, regular juice if you need to. There are modifiers for it, such as a Fresnel lens and other modifiers. And for me, what's unique about this light, though it's not inexpensive, it's about $1,500 to $2,000 US, is the fact that it is in fact waterproof, and it is in fact able to run off of a rechargeable battery for that amount of time with a fast charge. So that's a really interesting fixture. This is also a really interesting fixture. This is from a company based out of Scotland that you may or may not have heard of called Blind Spot Gear. And they introduced this light, I'm going to say they first previewed this light about 2 years ago, but it really came to market about a year plus ago. It's called the Tile Light. It's very small, daylight only. Very bright little light for the size that it is, and they are at blindspotgear.com. And this is a great, like, in your pocket, high output LED daylight solution. It runs off of, again, Sony NPF style batteries, so very ubiquitous in terms of, you know, a powering solution in terms of what you can use. And they have also just recently, a couple of days ago, done a Kickstarter campaign for version 2 of what they call their Scorpion lights. And these lights are really interesting. They are basically, I would say, unique to the market. They're very, very small, bendable LED lights that can be, again, powered off of Sony NPF batteries. They are daylight balanced. They have this gooseneck, and they have now released a new version which has 30% more output from the fixture itself. They are basically a little bit smaller. They're also now putting these magnetic barn doors on there, so it's easy to gel these lights and to do things. But do be aware of the fact that when you are gelling LED lights, that because they are not generally full color spectrum, they might have a high CRI or TLCI, but because they're not full color spectrum, that gelling those lights isn't necessarily going to yield the same exact result as if you had put that gel on a full color spectrum fixture. But you can still get good results. So this is actually a shot from a documentary short that I did called Brooklyn Phono. You can find that either as a link directly from my website at theC47.com, or you can find it on Canon USA's YouTube channel. And this particular frame that you're seeing here from one of our 2 interviews with the owners of this record pressing plant in Brooklyn, you'll see that you have those warm lights in the background on those machines. Those are, in fact, Scorpion lights from Blind Spot Gear. And what's really interesting about these is that, you know, you can really put them anywhere you want. They're little, small, spotty lights. But the biggest issue that I had with them in the past, and it didn't really matter here because we were gelling them, is that they did tend to skew a little bit green. And what I'm excited about now with Scorpion version 2 is that it seems like they have now solved that green cast. I can't wait to get my hands on a couple of those and have those in the kit, because I think they will be great to travel with. Okay, so we've already talked about a few different light fixtures here. Anybody have any questions so far? Again, either about the lights that I've brought up or about any other things that you would like to discuss related to these fixtures. Let's go to the right camera here. There you go. Any questions that we have so far that we want to go over before I start banging out and talking about some other lights in my favorites list? And these are all lights that I have used. Okay, so let me just go ahead and go back down, and we'll just continue. You guys can ask questions anytime you want regarding these different lights. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next one, which is from a company called FIILEX. FIILEX makes, well, a lot of LED lighting solutions. In fact, there's a video that I will be releasing in the not-so-distant future about something I can't talk about right now, but is a pretty interesting fixture that's coming to the market. But what we're going to talk about are basically their 360 lights, their P360s, and specifically about their P360 Pro Plus lights, which are small LED fixtures that are, to me, very, very interesting in terms of what we can use on the market. I am a huge fan of dado lights, both their traditional quartz halogen fixtures and even their LEDs, but they are very, very expensive. And one of the reasons I love dados is because they're focusable. They have a two-lens system, and they're kind of unique in that way. Well, we're not going to get that functionality here with the 360s, but what we are getting are very small, high output LED lights that are very, very accurate in terms of their color. They have a dense LED matrix technology over at FIILEX. They design and make everything themselves, so it's not off-the-shelf stuff. And the quality of the light for LEDs that comes out of these is very, very good. They have plus minus green, so you have a plus minus green adjustment on the Pro Plus lights. They have a feature where when you are plugging in the light, one of the things that you can do is you can actually change your settings in terms of intensity and color temperature, and this will go from 2800 Kelvin, I believe, to 6500 Kelvin. And when you're doing that, you can basically set your settings and then turn it on. So it's pretty cool because you see your display, make your settings, and then turn it on, and it will have those settings. DMX addressable, which is important for some people, and there are a lot of modifiers for these lights as well, so you can get Fresnel lenses for them and things like that. So they are really small, compact, and I'm using these a lot for specials when you want to put a little bit of light on a particular product or an area for background lights, and I am very, very happy with the P360 Pro Pluses from FIILEX. So these are lights that I pretty much carry at least one or two with me all the time when I'm traveling. So then we move to the next light that we're going to talk about. Also a company that I really like. I've been using their products for many years. They're really one of two companies that sort of were at the forefront of what we call remote phosphor technology, where you move the phosphor away from the usually a blue LED so that the heat source is not right up against the phosphor, and therefore more accurate, longer longevity and things like that. But that said, pretty much all of the companies in the market that have been doing that are also starting to look at bicolor or color tunable units. And this is basically the evolution or a sister product to the Maverick from Cineo Lighting. And Cineo Lighting, again, is one of the companies that really started the remote phosphor kind of craze, and for good reason. Their fixtures were really, really high quality. And the Mav X is color tunable, and so it gives you the ability in a relatively compact unit to be able to travel and to battery power or run off of mains, and the quality of light is great. One of the things that is somewhat unique, but not entirely, but somewhat unique to Cineo, is that no matter what fixture they make, they are always fanless, so they are absolutely silent, and that is something to remember about the Cineo line of products. Also, some interesting stuff that they have coming out, which I'm going to be checking out more in depth at NAB during my sessions, and I will be teaching two workshops the weekend before the show. And one of them, one of the products that I'm really excited about, which is from Cineo, are called their Light Blade products. Originally just available through NBC Universal as a rental product, and now they are going to be available or are available for purchase. So there you go. But the original tubes are 4 feet long, so maybe not the portable solution, but they are going to have 2-foot versions of those, so I'm excited about that. Am I supposed to say that? I just did. Okay, there you go. So there's your Mav X light from Cineo. Now we are going to move on to the big gun in the list here. This is the most expensive of the units we're going to be talking about. It is the S30C from ARRI. It is the sky panel. That's the S designation in there. And this is pretty remarkable fixture in terms of its capabilities. It is a little bit larger than your standard 1x1 unit, definitely heavier than that. But its capabilities all around are pretty astounding. This is the smallest sky panel that's available right now. Definitely something that you would consider renting if you were not going to purchase it. They also they basically allow you to tune to virtually any color. They are RGBW units, calibrated. They have special source matching capabilities. They are capable of doing special effects. You can have fireworks, and you can have television, and you can have paparazzi, and cop car, and all kinds of things. Hey, Guillermo. Good afternoon to you. Sean has a question. What's the quality of light on that last one, the MAV-X? MAV-X has excellent quality. I will say that, again, I have had a number of years of experience with Cineo products, and there has never been a question in terms of their commitment to the quality of light that you're getting out of it. So I would not have any reservation in terms of what you're getting from these. What will be important, which I can't post in the live stream, are going to each of the manufacturers' websites, which we will list again with the archive version of this tomorrow, and checking out their metrics, checking out their white papers, seeing what the output is at different distances, what the beam angle is, and everything else like that. But these are fixtures that I'm using and I'm very happy with, and we are mixing and matching a lot of these fixtures in production, so it's important that you're using good quality fixtures when you're doing all of this stuff. This sky panel, back to the sky panel S30C, this really is sort of the, you know, the Rolls-Royce. Do we say Rolls-Royce anymore? I mean, we're always saying Rolls-Royce and Lamborghini. I don't know. This is the Tesla of the lighting community in terms of what it can do. It's just kind of redonkulous in terms of its capabilities. And they make it in 3 other sizes. They have a 60, which is twice the width and twice the output. They have the 120, which is twice the length of the 60, but the same output, and then they have the 360. And I have actually worked with that light this past November, and it is a beast. It's a ridiculous fixture in a good way. So that is the sky panel, and I do recommend that people actually check it out and see what it's all about. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question, Sean. Any other questions are welcome at any time in this episode. We'll probably go for about another 20 minutes here. Let's move on to the next set of lights that I want to talk to you guys about. And here they are. So this is the 120 series, COB, chip on board, series from Aputure. And they've kind of made quite a splash over the last few years as a company, especially the last couple of years. And this particular fixture, about $650 US. It is basically a single source LED solution in terms of the way that that light reads. They make it in both a daylight and a tungsten version. I would say that if you're choosing between the two as an owner-operator, you're probably going to go with the daylight version, though I am partial to using tungsten light in interior setups and locations, especially if I have complete control over the light, but that doesn't really matter. I can also go daylight and white balance and away you go. But I do like that option of either having a color tunable fixture or sometimes lighting talent with tungsten and then lighting the background with daylight. It's a nice warm, cool contrast. But that said, if you are making a purchase of these, I would consider either the 120D daylight or maybe even consider the 300. It's a little bit larger, has one extra component to it in terms of the power unit. But I'm very, very happy with the 120Ds, and I do use them a lot. They are tuned to 6,000 Kelvin, so you need to know that when you're using the fixture. You'll see here, there's the control unit there. And when we take a look here at sort of the kit, you can see the light fixture itself, the head of the fixture, and that comes with a reflector, a little parabolic reflector. There's the control unit. That's just a strap to the right of that. Your power, and what's really, really cool about this unit right here that you see the hand on right now is that unit actually standardly has a V-mount battery attachment. Basically, it's a plate. So if you use V-mount lock batteries, you can just attach that directly to that. And so that makes for easy powering solution. Also down there, just to the right of the power supply stuff, you'll see a little remote control. One of the things that I really, really like about the Aputure line of products is that that little remote control not only will power and control that particular unit, so the 120D or 120T in this case, but it will also control multiple units on different channels, different banks, so that if you're using other products in, let's say, their Lightstorm product line, then you can use one remote to control different setups. And sometimes that's a heck of a lot easier than going the Bluetooth route, which I do like, but then you're firing up an app. Usually we're firing up the app on our smartphone, then you've got reminders, and you're using your phone for things, and that can be good, but not always. Sometimes it's better to just get a cheap tablet to do everything. Just saying. Lots of modifiers. One of the things that I think makes the Aputure 120 series and also the new 300, which has a 300 watt power draw as opposed to 120 watt power draw, is that they use a standard Bowens mount for all your accessories. So you can buy a Fresnel mount, very inexpensive, $60, $70 US. That light dome in the top right there is about $150, $160 US. They have a space light attachment there. They're using this mount, which is, again, ubiquitous, especially in the photo world. And you can go out and buy, for instance, a snoot for this light. I bought one on Amazon for about $12 US. So you can modify the heck out of this light, and it is very, very cool. Okay, now we move on to another company, which is sort of the other company, which is known for remote phosphor lights, and this is a remote phosphor unit. This company is called BB&S, and this is called the Area 48, and this is a great portable, high-output lighting solution. It is using remote phosphor, so that panel that you're seeing there slides out, and that is basically what determines the color temperature, that phosphor panel. The back of the light is easy to, and there's an attachment so that you can either battery power, AB or gold mount, or V mount, so AB gold mount or V mount solutions. And then also you can attach your power supply directly to that, so it just becomes one single unit. There are a lot of modifiers available for this light fixture from companies like DOP Choice, and it is still a great, very consistent LED lighting solution for small crew production when you're talking about a portable fixture. I'd say priced well for what it is in terms of the market, but it's not inexpensive. I think it's probably still floating in about the $2,000 price range US. Okay, next one. No questions. What's up with you guys? Guys and gals, let's go, boys and girls. Let's get some questions here. Moving on to the next one. This one is from Hive. Hive has historically been known for their plasma lighting solutions. And the Hive 100C is their first foray into LED. Unlike everybody else who either uses daylight or tungsten-based or daylight, tungsten, and RGB, they use 5 different LEDs that make up this light in terms of what they're creating. I've actually done a video for AbelCine on this light, so you can go to their channel and check that out. And it is a really interesting fixture. One of my favorite things about this fixture is the ability to basically access and change what this fixture is doing. And one of the things that I have here, which you can see in the frame, is there's a little accessory you can buy for about $100 US from Hive, which will allow you to attach a mini source 4 to the light fixture itself, which is super cool. By the way, the outside of that fixture, circumference of the fixture, is also the same exact size for Pro Photo accessories. So if you want to use any Pro Photo accessory, you just attach it to the outside of the light and it will attach. So a little bit different than the Bowens for the Aputure 120 series and the 300 series, but still very, very interesting. And the reason that that little source 4 is really interesting is that it allows you to cut your light in ways that are not really possible with a lot of the other LED fixtures out there. Very, very precise cutting of light with the Hive 100C. I'm excited to see where they take this line, and hopefully we're going to see some higher output versions of the 100C in the future. It is completely color tunable, 360-degree color wheel, which you can do again with that Luxli that I talked about at the beginning with the sky panel lights. Those are all capable of 360-degree color wheels and hue, and so those are, you know, basically a big trend in terms of what we're seeing regarding that right now in the market. Questions, people? Come on board. Here we go. This one is, again, this is ubiquitous to the industry. This is a company, LITEPANELS, which kind of in their own way, maybe in their way, is the company that started it all. I still have a LITEPANELS LED fixture that's an quote-unquote on-camera light, which probably weighs more than the cameras themselves, and it is really it's really amazing to look at that light and to see how far we have come in such a short period of time. So Brian asks at this point, before I get into the Astro Light a little bit more, have you used LED tubes? I've used LED tubes a little bit. It's not something I've used a lot. You know, sort of one of the first LED tubes on the market was the Ice Light from Westcott, which I don't have a picture of here, and I do have that. It's daylight only, and what we're seeing right now with Digital Sputnik, and we are seeing with Quasar, right? Quasar, is that those are now coming out, those companies are now coming out with color tunable. The same with the light blades from Cineo. So I like light tubes. One of the things that attracts me to light tubes is using them as essentially practical lights that go out of focus in the background, but then also do other jobs. So they can be kickers, you know, they can create a little bit of background light interest to the space. They can help create depth to the space. I don't think that they're appropriate as practicals for every type of scenario. So Sean's asking, what are some suggestions for building a versatile starter light kit for a small 1 to 3 man crew? If you're building piece by piece, which type of light would you start with? Larger Fresnels with modifiers like the DP kit, panels. Okay, so that's a good question. So let's finish getting through the fixtures, so because I don't have a lot more to talk about on those, and then we'll talk about some different scenarios, because then we'll have talked to them. So the Astra Light, this is the Astra 6X from LITEPANELS. This is 6 times brighter than the original 1x1 light that LITEPANELS released. And again, sort of ubiquitous to LED lighting fixtures. They have a Bluetooth module that you can use with this, so you can control the lights with Bluetooth. Fan is quiet, not really an issue with the way it's running on these fixtures. The dial actually has color temperature on it now, so you can actually, that's something relatively new with the fixtures. And they are relatively cost effective. And then we move into, oh, by the way, let me just back up for a second. One of the things that I really like about these Astro lights is their beam angle. I think it's about 55-degree beam angle. And what's interesting about that is I find that not only these very bright lights, but they work very well as both bounced and also directly diffused lights. So I really like the Astras from that standpoint. Build quality is pretty good. It's not like grip good, but it's good. And then we move into, you know, the other big area when it comes to LED lighting, which are flexible LEDs. These are the Flex LEDs from Westcott, and I have a lot of experience using these. You know, I use these to bounce. In fact, in this image here, I've got one stand solution here where I'm basically bouncing a 1x1 bicolor flex off of my DP kit, which is a 4x4 frame, which I designed with Westcott. And what I love about these flex lights is they can be put into what are called Scrim Jim Cine frames, which Scrim Jim Cine is sort of the erector set that my kits are built out of, the DP kit and the Booklight kit. But they can also be used without the frames, and they're completely flexible units. They have lifetime warranties. Here I'm rigging it here for more butterfly style lighting. I basically broke one side of my Booklight kit away from this. It's a 4x6 frame, and I'm just pushing a 1x2 bicolor flex through that in this situation. And then here is the DP kit, the 1x1, and that's just being a 1x2 is being pushed through there, and the lighting that we're getting with that really just a little bit of light coming from outside, and then all of the light on our Talent, except for the backlight on her, is coming from that basically 4x4 frame, and then the light that's behind her around her neck and on her shoulders is just natural light coming from outside. And I really, really love these flex lights. I think that they are extremely versatile. This is basically the space light solution from, they call it the drum light, from Westcott, and this is being used in this setup with a 1x2 flex, which is basically just being folded into itself. So pretty cool stuff all around in terms of those fixtures. Okay, so now we come into the conversation for the next 10 minutes or so in terms of suggestions and where you sort of start. And, you know, the best thing I can say is that my suggestions are going to be based upon the type of work that you do. Clearly, if you have the money for it, what you want to do is you want to get the highest output fixtures that you can that are still portable. And budget has a lot to do with that. You can buy a Panel S30C, and you can even buy their intensifier modifier, which will essentially change your beam angle of your light so that you're getting effectively 50% more output. But you're going to pay a lot of money for that. But you're also going to have a light fixture, that Tesla of lights, that can do more things than pretty much any light on the market, and they keep updating it with firmware. I forgot to mention that the Sky panels have over 300 Roscoe and Lee gels inside of them, and that's in addition to their source matching and their special effects lighting that they have inside of there. But if you don't have that kind of budget, what do you do? Well, if you have to pack flat all the time, then you may want to start to look at things like the 1x2 flexible LEDs. If you are traveling locally a lot and you are very budget conscious, then it may make sense to get a couple of ASTRA 6Xs in your kit. Those are color tunable as well. So you wouldn't get the hue functionality in there, but you can use the color tunability. And I would say that for me, you know, in terms of the lights that I'm sort of bringing with me all of the time, those would sort of fall into the category of the P360 Pro Pluses for specials, sort of the harder light sources, and you can put a Fresnel on there to tighten up the beam from about 65 degrees to 33 degrees, I believe, with their 2-inch Fresnel. They also have a 5-inch Fresnel in the kit, which gives you a little more control over stuff. So I would say that those P360s are definitely something to consider. I always travel with, you know, usually with a 1x1 and a 1x2 flex LED. But the Astro lights are lights that we have been using a lot. They're also extremely easy to source. So if you're using one of these on a production and you need to pick up another one, as long as you're in a medium-sized market, you can actually source those pretty easily. The one thing that I would stay away from on these Astras is getting the soft version of them. I just think that's bologna sandwich stuff. I think if you are going to get a light like this, get it with that harder light that you're capable, pardon me, of getting. And you can bounce that light, and you can easily push it through a frame, through a 2x2, a 4x4, or 6x6 frame to give you more control over that. Push it through a DP kit or a booklight kit or just some fabric to soften up and create a larger, softer single source for what you're doing. So there are some other larger Fresnels that you can get, which are really cool, but I think that what I'm talking about here are very portable solutions. This Hive light is also extremely interesting. To have one of these in your kit so that you have an extremely focusable light. Again, output is not huge, but it is good, and it is definitely something that can fit in as a specialty light inside of your kit. It's relatively cost effective. Brian is asking about what about lights with battery power? Well, almost all of the lights that we're talking about here, Brian, are capable of being powered by batteries. We've got the Viola lights, Sony NPF batteries here. We go to the Stella that has a built-in battery, which I had mentioned earlier on, and you can power that for about an hour and a half with the built-in battery. So that is the Stella Light. The Tile Light, NPF batteries. Scorpion Light from Blind Spot Gear, NPF batteries. You can P-tap the P360s from FIILEX. The MAV-X can be powered off of an AB mount or a V mount lock battery. Then we get into the S30C. You can power that by batteries, believe it or not, as well, though you are going to need some pretty beefy batteries to power that particular light because it has a large power draw. The 120 series from Aputure, you can power that by batteries right out of the box. It has a Sony V-mount lock plate on the controller that's there right there in the middle for the light fixture. And then we get into the Area 48. Similarly, we can, like the MAV-X, we can power that by AB gold mount or also V mount, so you can get plates to power that light. About 145 watt power draw on this, so you just have to do the math there in terms of how long you can power the light. The Hive as well, you can P-tap that sucker or D-tap it, depending on how you like to say that. And the same is true for the Astro Lights. You can power those generally off of V-mount or AB mount, gold mount batteries. So these are all battery powerable, and of course the Flex lights can be battery powered as well. The 1x1 currently with a P-tap adapter, and in the future they are developing battery solutions for the larger versions of those lights as well. That more has to do with power regulation, not power draw, so I think you'll see that solution very soon for those as well. So there you go. I think that's pretty much an overview of a bunch of lights that I'm using, and what I do recommend and I do ask you to do is visit theC47.com, and there is a place there. It's a contact page. If you have questions and you would like to get some information and you're trying to sort some stuff out, then please send me questions, or you can just go to my YouTube channel and you can just write a comment when this is archived. As always, I ask you, subscribe. If you don't, then it's going to be hard for me to create free educational content related to the craft of video production and filmmaking. Any last questions that anybody has related to lighting that they would like to ask on the live stream? Because we are going to be wrapping this up very shortly. So if you've got something, hopefully I've answered your questions that you have had today. Otherwise, we are going to come up with a topic for next week. I always recommend that you suggest topics, and you can do that again by just going to theC47.com and going to the contact page and then giving a suggestion in terms of what you would like an episode to cover. And Sean, you're welcome for the tips. I hope you either learned something, or at least this will lead you down a path where you can do some additional research in terms of lighting fixtures that are good for portable, small to no crew production. These are the things that I'm using in production right now. I'm using some bigger guns as well, but these are the ones that I'm using when I'm getting on an airplane, when I'm traveling locally for small crew stuff. And I just like to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Signing out.